their work schedule goes along with our practice one. And I'm thinking maybe I should tell a men's coach I'll just take the late practice all the time. So it'll make it easier for someone to come and help. But that's a real problem I have, is just the conflict with work hours.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Because we're minor hockey, everything's after school, right? And late, because we're the oldest team, right? So we have all our practices sort of later at night. But to again, those young female coaches, it's no different than on the guys' side, right? You have a woman who's played college hockey, maybe she played a bit of pro, and she may perceive that she's ready to be a head coach right out of the gate, and she wants the money. There is some money in coaching minor hockey, at least, in the GTA. I'm not sure how it is in other places, but in Toronto, if you're a female head coach of an elite level team, you can make a decent amount of money off of that. So unfortunately, a lot of them want that right out of the gate. They don't want to be mentored, or they think they know, just like, I'm sure a lot of guys who played at pro or semi-pro think, oh, I can go coach a team because I know. So, often I'm trying to say to them, well, why don't you do a year with me first? Kind of learn a little bit about the, not so exciting stuff like dealing with parents and scheduling and all that, and then go off and try it. Because I've seen far too many females get given a head coaching role right out of the gate, whether that's right or wrong. It is what it is. And then they get out of it within 2 years because they get run over by parents, basically. And the players a little bit, but it's mostly being driven by the parents at the minor hockey level. So I'm trying to avoid that attrition that I've seen of women who are desperate to get back in the game, but they get in, get trampled, and then they never come back.
Well, that's what happened to the girl that coached before me. She coached like 1 year of bantam, and she contacted me a lot of times for practice ideas. And then all of a sudden she's a college coach, and a couple of the girls on the team were almost the same age as her, because there's a 27 and a 30-year-old on the team. And then, they just crucified her. And I know they wanted to hire a female coach, but I don't think they did a very good job of finding somebody that was ready for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and that's what we do now. So, to Dean's point in the message here, which I agree with, I'm the only one who sort of, and again, I'm not coaching next year in this role. I wanted all female staff because we were the highest level team. We had the most visibility in the organization. So I thought it had a tremendous value for our organization to see that from the top level team. But at every other non-paid coach who's female, there is a male on the staff who's a parent, and that's mostly because the moms of those players aren't comfortable coaching necessarily, or haven't been given that experience, which we alluded to earlier. But every single one of them has a male on the bench who has a little more coaching experience than them, and is also a parent. So, I do think, to Dean's point, You know, females are different. And so to have a whole staff of that, a whole team really, you know, 25 of us, all female is pretty cool.
Kim, do you think, like I personally would hire 3 females to coach a national team? How do you feel about that?
Ooh, and it's hard, right? You know, knowing that level and not having quite played there, like you want the best coach available. That's the challenge, right? I think you want who is the best coach, no different than you'd want to have the best winger, the best goalie, right? Irrespective of anything, you want the best players to be there as a player. I'm speaking from a player perspective. So I don't know. Like as an observer with daughters, absolutely, I'd love to have females there. As someone who coaches in minor hockey and these girls are desperate for role models, of course I want females to be there. But I can understand from the player's perspective why, you know, they might look at something different. Like I use, and again, I apologize. I don't know if Mike Babcock's the best example, but if Mike Babcock's like, hey, I want to coach the women's Olympic team, maybe not now, but maybe 2 years ago, if he said, I want to coach the Olympic team, don't you think Hockey Canada would just give him the job? Like I have the sense that they would.
They
and
would.
I'm not saying that's bad, and I think the players
shouldn't. They shouldn't. In a million years, they shouldn't.
Well, I'm not saying him specific, but like if an NHL coach said,
I'm saying any NHL male coach, never having worked with female hockey, regardless of their X and O knowledge, I would take 3 females that have the X and O knowledge that you have, and all players that have been in the program have. Can they work together? Will the players, female players, throw them under the bus because Mike Babcock is better? That's the issue with that team right now, is that they have better coaches available that have coached female hockey in Canada, and females that have coached female hockey in Canada that have far more emotional intelligence to coach females and at least equal or superior knowledge of the game. That's my take.
Well, I think you have to have someone who's coaching in the female game. I personally agree with you. I don't think an NHL coach is the right solution if they haven't got experience on the female side. The question then becomes, is it a male who's coached female hockey or a female who's coached female hockey? But I think of that, you know, more for, you know, the development of the game and the understanding of the game. And, you know, I would love to see some innovation in how our national team plays or how women play in general. I think we've talked about that before. You know, and is that going to come from someone who's already in the female game and sees where those weaknesses are or where those potential changes are? That's more likely to happen than someone coming in and inserting, you know, the NHL style of play into the female game, I think personally. So I think for the evolution of our sport, you know, I do see the value of it happening more internally, you know, but again, I'd love to see all females. I'd love to see Vicky be the head coach. Like, perfect.
I'd love to see Carla McLeod in there.
Yeah, Carla, Danielle Goyette, like, again, all these women.
I'm going to give you an assignment, Kim, because I've done this with Danielle, I've done it with Carla, and I've done it with 2 other female coaches that I know through the national program. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do. You're the head coach of the national women's team. Who would you want on staff to work with you? And if you were an assistant coach on the team, who would you want to be the head coach? That's your task, because that's the essence of whoever gets selected, is their ability to work together. And that's the only issue I have with that assignment in hiring a coach, because how compatible are they? That doesn't mean agree with one another. They have to disagree with one another. Some are born to be head coaches and can't assist. Some are strong-willed, open-minded, outspoken. Some are quiet, soft-spoken. You have to work together, whoever it is in whatever role. So I'm saying if they made a decision, you have to know each other and you have to understand the parameters of what you bring, what you offer, and feel valued in your role, whether you're an assistant. The head coach, of course, has to be able to make it work, make the chemistry come to fruition. I believe it can be done, but if you just randomly hire coaches without thinking about the group of coaches and the tasks that it entails, the enormity of it, that's what's most important. So think about that one. I'll talk to you later on a phone call about it, because I really believe that decisions in the future are going to have to be about that when hiring a staff for a national team. Now, not necessarily the under 22 program, but you're looking at commitment, their desire to coach, moving up, wanting to work at higher levels. And right now, the experience of people who have been in the program voluntarily on the national women's side, under 18, under 22, are not happy with being involved. They just weren't able to contribute and offer what they thought were their ideas. And it was just sort of difficult to fit in. And I sympathize with that.
So, and is that because they're sort of being dictated to? Is that I've only been there once as a strength and conditioning coach. I was never there as a camp coach.
I think it might be, what should we work on? How should we work on it? Having an idea of what needs to be done, what they need to work on, the big picture, the little way to accomplish the big picture. I know the people I talk to I can have these conversations with. I've coached them. I know how they think, and I think we have enough respect for each other to agree to disagree, but argue about that. And that's the essence of a good staff, a great staff. It's the teamwork of the staff that precludes the teamwork of the team. So
I'm on it, Wally.
The teams, but
Tom, Bob, I can only speak being interviewed and hired in one experience, but I would say they have enough knowledgeable people at Hockey Canada to discuss and have the discussions that we're having in making the decision on hiring, particularly on the guy's side. They would know the chemistry of your staff to a degree because they know you and they know who they're bringing together to work together. And so when I look at World Junior teams, and I have the same concerns as you, is do they trust and respect each other to work together so that they are one with their team and will get the best result? And that's when I was interviewed. I think I was on the short list of maybe 7 people for the 2002, and I really respected Tom. And the one question he asked me, and there was 2 other people in the interview that were executive people of Hockey Canada, and I honestly said to him, and he was taken aback, I said, Tom, I respect you to make the right decision. You know, whatever decision he made, I mean, he's looking at the team of people. And whether I would get selected or not, I felt I could work with anybody in a support capacity. I did not want the head coach job. And when I left there, I thought I had a good chance at it. And it worked out pretty well. But you know, when people like that are involved, and they're a pretty professional organization. The conversations that they're having, I trust they're having them and doing things the right way. Now, Bob, historically, was your staff fairly compatible? Did it trust and respect each other?
Oh yeah, no problem. No issues at all, actually, Wally. So I don't know exactly what the whole process was in that selection. I mean, we were tasked with some technical stuff that we had to submit, and and so forth and so on. But we never met each other. The coaches that I work with, I had no personal knowledge of them whatsoever before we actually were selected to coach. But the synergy was good. There was never an issue that I'm aware of, anyways. So it was good. I mean, I had no problem with it. It was just